everyone. Welcome to the latest installment of MSP Business School. As always, I'm Brian Doyle here with you today, and we're going to continue on with our Pitch It conversations this afternoon. So for the next few weeks, you guys will get an opportunity to hear from each one of the finalists, learn a little bit about their stories, and then you'll get stuck with Sean. But that's part of the deal, man. You know, he's got to be here too. So with that, guys, thanks. First, welcome. You know, we've got on the call today, for those of you listening audibly, we've got Bobby Jacobs from Thread. He was one of the finalists with myself last year in the Pitch It, and they took it. Knocked us out, man. It's tough. Sean, of course, is here. Sean Lardo, who, you know, obviously is the czar of the Pitch It program and really runs with this thing and promotes it and gets these folks visibility. And then somebody new I'm getting to meet today, Zach Kromkowski from Senteon. He's going to come on and tell you about his run to the finals. So with that, Sean, you know, let me throw it to you. And why don't you tell the listeners that might not know a little bit about what Pitch It program is all about?
Absolutely. I first want to address the "you're stuck with me" comment and know that Brian was so tired of being stuck with me, he decided to take second place after Bobby Jacobs in the finals last year. So, you know, he was quick to get out. So thank you, Bob.
Sean, nobody has been on MSP Business School more than you, buddy. So, you know, the reality is there's lots of love.
I know. I love it. You know, it's probably my favorite thing in the entire space is the fact that everybody banters together, because it's like all friends. But anyway, I digress. Moving on, Pitch It. Very simply put, you know, this is a Shark Tank-like competition for startup vendors. We're looking for the best of the best to be involved. They support the MSP space, right? They integrate into Connectwise. They invest in the community. The goal is for, you know, each year we've grown with better talent each year that come into this, and these are the innovators. And we start off with 26 vendors to start the season off. We don't take it. You can apply. Doesn't mean you make it. You must be qualified. And we do have a team that qualifies you to admit you into the program. Go through 16 weeks of it. At the end of 16 weeks, you guys, we make everybody go through a pitch off for the preliminaries, where we narrow it down to the 3 finalists. Those 3 finalists compete live on stage at IT Nation Connect. And you're all, you know, the first thing you win as a finalist is you get a free booth there, which is a great win.
Love that part.
Right? Yes. I mean, it's worth its weight in gold, because this IT Nation Connect is the biggest conference of the year. It's the end of the year. It's a great way to cap it off. So you get to the end of the year here, you get this booth, but then the next thing you're doing is getting ready to go on stage and talk in front of, hopefully this year, 1,000+ people, which we're working towards. Last year was over 600 in the audience, which are all your MSPs, some vendors, and you guys are all vying for the main prize of $70,000 grand prize, which Bobby Jacobs won because he took first. That's right. Just saying, Bobby, you know, good job, congrats. Brian took second.
Like I said earlier, we didn't get steak knives, so you know it was a good day.
That is correct.
The money's a big deal, but Sean, you're selling yourself short. Like, Pitch It is about helping MSPs get to meet earlier stage vendors. It's expensive as an early stage company to get to meet and go to conferences and market and do all these things. But MSPs, if they don't get to meet these new vendors that are bringing incredible technology to market, they're missing out on security opportunities, ROI, better service experience, all these things that they spend a lot of time thinking about. And so Pitch It, I mean, it's really an incredible service that that IT Nation and Connectwise do to be able to bring these really early stage vendors with incredible technology to market faster to meet all these MSPs. So 70K is cool, 30K is cool, steak knives are cool. What's way more valuable is getting to meet MSPs.
You know what? Thank you, Bobby. From now on, Bobby will do the talking to start up every one of our episodes, because way better than I am. No, you're right. It is a big deal. I mean, the early event stages of vendors is difficult. I think we all can attest to it. We've all lived through it. And the struggles are typically like, they don't know a vendor, you don't know where to invest. Yep. You don't know where to put your money. Where should you market? Who should you talk to? The hardest part is finding the right fishing holes, you know, and you don't even know what they are sometimes. And how many vendors actually start off with a concept in mind that they think is for one set type of MSP, and then they realize, holy crap, it's not. It's actually applicable to the rest. Because you do learn quickly, mass market appeal is extremely important to some degree, and that's the difference. And then at that point, you're back to square one, trying to figure out where the hell you should go. You know, so
PitchIT, I mean, helps remove that barrier, right? You know, it allowed us to identify the multiple use cases and whatnot, because it is a barrier to really get exposure. It's a barrier to these shows. If you can ask any vendor, most shows start at least 10,000, but most of them that are really big, right? 20,000 plus, right? I wouldn't be able to allocate that much at this stage. Like, I don't want to. That money needs to go other places. But PitchIT allowed us to get the exposure and build our virtual presence, right? It doesn't cost anything to have a LinkedIn free account. You know, probably should get the premium, but it allowed us to build that virtual presence and identify things we would have had to figure out way later down the roadmap.
No, but you're spot on with that, Zach. You know, a lot of the vendors that were in the cohort that Bobby and I were a part of were, you know, bootstraps vendors, still investing into product, getting the product where it needed to be to really take it out to market in its full capacity. And this gave a lot of exposure, but also fostered a lot of partnerships. You know, we've integrated with a couple of the platforms that were in our cohort, or and guys like you in this cohort, and you know, we do a lot of co-marketing with folks. I know Bobby's been on a couple things with me and vice versa, and it really becomes a nice little community. And the nice part is we're all kind of at the same stage, or at least similar stages, and we all grow together as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what, I would definitely commend, you know, from year 1 to year 2 to year 3, it's become such a big ordeal. It's gotten bigger and better, and you know, Zach owes it to you guys, even, because year 1 was very good. We got some people that were engaged and building out this really dynamic group and getting all the exposure. And then year 2, you guys really blew it out of the water from year 1 even, and the cross promotions and collaborations. And now they got a chance to watch you guys. You got a chance to watch year 1, year 2, year 3 watches year 2. So it really worked out. And honestly, it's fun. It's good because, again, I get to meet a lot of new friends, and like, you know, and whoever really is lucky enough to get a chance to like spoon with Bobby in public on picture.
So,
you know, I'm open.
Yeah, that picture was something else. I think you might have to send me a copy so we can throw it in the show notes.
For those audio guys, you don't need to go to YouTube for that one. You can bypass that scene.
Yeah, that's fine. But anyway, you know, Bobby, I want to turn to you for a moment, and let's talk a little bit about your experience last year. But first, tell us a little bit about Thread for any listener that might not know anything about Thread today.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Thread is a service experience platform. So we help MSPs meet their customers where they live in something like Microsoft Teams. You know, phone is the most expensive way to provide support. Email is a really bad way to provide support. If your end customers can chat with you from Teams and it integrates into your ticketing system, like Connectwise, you're going to see over a 30% decrease in time to resolution. Not to mention our new AI triage tool that we just released. And we actually said in our use of funds slides in PitchIT last year that if we won PitchIT, we would use that money to build an auto dispatch tool. And now we have. So yeah, thank you to Connectwise and PitchIT for helping us help MSPs auto triage tickets better.
Cool, man. And let's talk a little bit about what your experience was like running into the finals. You know, I'm sure Zach's over here saying to himself, all right, what am I getting myself into and what do I need to do? So maybe if you got some words of wisdom on how you prepped up, because obviously you guys took home the big prize, you know, maybe that'll help, you know, him and any listeners that are thinking about being part of PitchIT next year.
Yeah, I think one thing that Sean and his team and community are really good at is helping vendors explain their products better, which again does benefit the MSP, because if there's a really cool tool out there that's going to provide a great ROI, but the vendor's not explaining it right, or they're saying it in a way that resonates with them and their prior experience, but not the way an MSP actually works, then the MSP is not going to know how to evaluate it. They're not going to think about ROI the right way. And so, you know, when I've mentioned this before, but we lost every competition we did before PitchIT. When we did the like PitchIT 30-second pitches, 60-second pitches, we lost every one because we were not able to describe our value succinctly. By the time the time would run out and we'd be like, oh, by the way, we do this, and this, and this is what we do matters. And so, yeah, helping vendors, like, you know, Zach and I met the other day, and midway through the call, I was like, Zach, you have not said anything compelling to me yet. Like, I don't get what you're talking about. But I listened to be fair, I listened to Zach's pitch, and I was like, that pitch is very compelling. Like, you got into the finals for a reason. But it's like, there's so many words that we can say as vendors that like don't actually mean anything to the end user, but are like important to us because we spent all this time building our products. So helping us get that out so we only say the valuable things is, I think that's the most important thing that happens through PitchIt.
I have to say this, and I told Zach this. I told you this too, Bobby. I was so happy that Zach and that it's a random pick on who's the head coach. I was so happy that you got him because compelling pitch, like you said, Bobby, a complete train wreck everywhere without staying on track. And that is that. And Zach,
That's a strength, Sean. There ain't no rails on this train. All aboard.
Don't take away his superpower.
No. And all I said to Zach was, you need to be staying on track with your presentation. I said, and Bobby is very good with the process of a presentation. Once Bobby nails down what he's going to do, he is like clockwork. You know exactly what's going to happen with him because he indoctrinates it. Where Zach is like squirrel. Wow. You know, and so it's a match made in heaven for a strength to a weakness because Zach, yes, we know you're very lively and you're a good personality for it, which so is Bobby, right? And that's perfect in that realm. Just it's more of a maturity aspect. And I think so I was extremely happy with the pairing.
That's awesome to hear. And I mean, I'm excited to have Bobby as a coach, right? We've already had a few sessions and talking about the importance of structure, planning, and whatnot. So him already seeing the Battle Royale pitch on channel program and what they're doing with PitchIt as well was super helpful for him to get a baseline of, see what I did there? Baseline of who I am. So that was really exciting. And Bobby, what you said with the technical verbiage, there's so many words. Baseline, for example, I love that word. Baseline may not mean the same thing to everybody, and figuring out the right things to say between Sean and his dad, like, holy crap, there's so much business value and business outcomes. Zach, stop saying that, say this. You know, it's annoying, but they're there to help, right? We want that. And any entrepreneur listening, any potential PitchIt nominee coming out, right? Take that feedback and own it, right? That's, as an entrepreneur, you should want to be told you're wrong. My first pitch I did at MSP Geek for it was a 3-minute pitch or something, Sean. Sean was just like, yeah, man, you said something about lullabies, but you're trying to give advice, and it stuck with me. I don't know, but it showed me that I need to just be a little bit more on the rails in some scenarios.
Well, think about it. Yeah, you're right. Like, well, so one thing that you learn, and actually, Bobby's a great example, even because when Bobby first showed me his presentation early in the season, where it was at the end of the season was almost a 180 to a degree. A lot of the same content, just restructured, reformatted, retold as far as the way the text went. That was it. But it became, because it's about storytelling. That's what it's all about. If you can't tell a story and you only have a few minutes to tell the story to impress the judges, you can't be cumbersome in the wrong thing. Then you get pigeonholed and strung up on one thing in the weed, and you go down this line in the weeds where you don't get to really cover the total value. You went from being this holistic platform to one individual tool, or you don't even identify if you're a service or a platform, you know, and those simple things like that matter because I need to know. And using Bobby as the example is great because he was good. He knew what he was talking about. From each week to week, he kept reformatting and reformulating what he was doing until he came up with something he believed in his own story. He could talk about.
I guarantee, Bobby, you got the same thing that I have, which was a master slide deck that you're pulling things from. There's probably 30 different slides at some point where in every pitch along the way before you got down to like the 6 or 8 that you used in the actual finals, right? And a lot of that. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I think the slide that we started with initially was like, the MSP market is X big and this many Teams users exist across the world. And it's like, 1, no one cares. 2, everyone here already knows that because we're all in the industry. So getting to where, like, what is the pain that we actually start with? That took me a while. Oh, yeah.
That was absolutely one of the biggest conversations that Bobby and I had was that because a lot of value, but it only starts with what your pain you're solving for is. And yes, and you feel like it's common sense. You feel like everybody should know what this does, what pain it solves for, but it doesn't matter. If you can't physically say it, it's almost like saying you have, you know, it's the cure for cancer, but you don't say that it's the cure for cancer. You say, I have this medication.
So, while we're on this subject here, let's turn to Zach and let's learn a little bit more about Senteon, and maybe you can tell us the pain you're solving for.
Yeah, I mean, highest level, we're turning those red marks on your scans green, right? Whether that's a real pen test, an automated pen test, a vulnerability scan, all of those red marks that you have today that take manual remediation, Senteon has a learning mode and a button to change well over 1,500 different policies. So what that means is we are actually hardening and performing the remediation on workstations, servers, and browsers to best practice standards. Whether the standard is CIS, Center for Internet Security, or CompTIA Trustmark, or if it's a regulatory standard like PCI, HIPAA, SOC 2, Senteon outlines this all in a single pane of glass to handle not only the enforcement, not only the reporting, not only the monitoring, the remediation, the change tracking. Senteon does all this in a single click.
Good. So, now we're getting a little sense of what you do, and the problem that you're solving is you're turning things back to green. But let's get into who is your end user? Is it usually a technical person? Who cares about your product? Is it a business owner?
Yeah.
Is it somebody else? I could certainly give my take on where I think that fits in, but I'd like to hear from you.
I think everyone in this room is going to have opinions. That's why we're in this room together, right? We're all outspoken and confident, and we have important things that we want to share because our words matter, right, everyone? Yeah. So who cares, right? Engineers have never been not excited by what we do. Why would an engineer care? I'm telling them they can change well over, I think it's up to 3,000 policies across the OSs. 3,000 policies without ever writing a script again. Not only that, we can guarantee and prove that the setting actually changed to the state you want. So engineers have never not been excited, but let's talk about the business value, the business outcome that Sean and his dad always scream at me, right? So business owners, the MSP owner, right? I'm trying not to say Keith's name, but I absolutely love the guy. So Keith Nelson is who I'm referencing here. Anyway, so why would a business owner care about hardening their workstation servers and browsers, right? We want to an extent, we do want to control the behavior and enforce a security culture at the end client, right? How do you do that? You can have a policy handbook and you have all your documents, you can check mark that box. But if that policy is not being followed, what good is that written sentence? So with Senteon, by actually enforcing and remediating these policies, for example, do not save password to the browser. Right? You can write that down. Does that mean people are still going to do it? It's pretty convenient, right? Senteon's going to apply a policy so that they literally can't, right? It's going to enforce that. So it's going to force them to start to adopt a security culture. Not only that, Senteon does have relationships with Dustin Bolander and the insurance companies he's working with and Data Street Insurance. So we will actually have cyber insurance recommendations via configurations within Senteon. So now you can attest and remediate technical policies that directly align to cyber insurance attestation. So you're not only getting better premiums, more business value, more operational efficiency through standardizing all of your endpoints, you're getting this all without the labor. One click. This will change everything and you're done. That's it.
And, that's an important part of it, right? I think we're all seeing cyber insurability being a little bit of a challenge. And obviously the insurers looking for truth in lending when they're making claims payments and starting to do a lot more carve outs. And this ongoing evidence is one of the biggest challenges we see on the compliance side, right? So you can see very easily where a business owner is looking at it as, hey, I want to get my claim paid. And B, I want my claim, I want my, my premium to be lower. Right. So,
yep.
There's definitely some use cases in the business world that, from my cheap seat over here, Zach, I think you need to hit on during.
Yeah. Let's talk really quick on that attestation from the insurance perspective. So when I'm talking about settings, we'll take Windows, for example. If you do this over GPO, if you do this over Intune, if you do this with PowerShell, right, that all of those mediums are push only. None of them, unless you write the extra PowerShell script, but none of them naturally give you feedback if that policy actually changed successfully, or if that policy stayed changed for multiple minutes, multiple days, forever, right? You get none of that feedback because Microsoft as a company can only push. Microsoft doesn't even know the state of these settings. They just push and trust us, right? Trust but verify, right? We're the verify part and we're the trust part. So we don't trust Microsoft at Senteon. So everything I talked about from remediation, from enforcement, change tracking, right? None of this uses PowerShell. None of this uses GPO. None of this uses Intune. This is our own engine that can guarantee and perform attestation for your insurance forms, for your auditing forms of the state of your technical policies.
That's a lot. That's a lot of big words.
A lot of words that I like to say that you and Keith would probably say, why don't you say different words?
Well, see, now I'm being the guy that's the first time I'm hearing this is today, and I'm hearing two things. Your engineers love it because it saves them time. Their owners should love it because that saves them money. And your end users should love it because you're reducing risk. And people only buy things for three reasons: make money, save money, or reduce risk, man. That's it.
Yep. And that end client has better control over what their employees can and can't do, right? They're also getting that security culture. I know I hinted at this, but that end user not only gets the premiums they want, they get the security they want. They're making sure that their employees can't access certain things via user rights assignments, right? That's one area that we also manage, right? They make sure their employees only have access to the right areas, right? Admins are actually treated like an admin account with still security policies associated, right? So there's a lot to Senteon, right? When I say 3,000 policies, like I can literally do a 3-hour episode with you, Brian. Like there's so much that we do. It's super hard to drill down to the business outcome and business value.
There's no reason for a 3-hour episode.
I'm telling you guys, I've done 56 episodes on GPOs and each one's 60 minutes. And let me tell you, the 3 people who come every week absolutely love it. One of which being my mom.
Glad to see your mom watches these things too.
Oh my God. My mom could actually pitch. She did. I asked her to. I was like, can you pitch what I do to me? And I asked her this just yesterday and she nailed it. It was ridiculous.
Actually, we should have brought her on today and she could have pitched it to us and we could have decided. We could have just
decided if she might need to step there on the stage instead of you, buddy.
Exactly.
She'd be better at pitching security hardening than logging into StreamYard, in all honesty. And that's the wild thing because she's watched so many hours of content. And hey, man, huge. Love my biggest fan. She's great.
All right. Well, we're getting near the end of our time, but I want to make sure we cover off. Zach, any other thoughts that you've got leading into this? What are you doing to prep? What are you doing to get ready, man?
I bookmarked Bobby's calendar link. I got Sean's phone number saved, meeting with them as much as I can. But no, what I'm doing, right? So I am continuously holding my webinars to really become comfortable with my virtual presence, right? I bought a new shirt. This one you're seeing right now. This is a brand new shirt, right? I'm starting to up my game so that I can be more confident in more attire, right? That matters. These little things matter. I have a new hat, right? Like this type of stuff matters because it's a way to build confidence and become more comfortable talking. So I do about 6 to 7 webinars a month, whether that's a webinar series on the settings that Senteon supports to educate why it matters, what risk it mitigates. I do that with the Center for Internet Security. I do bring on a special guest every single week, but I also do joint vendor presentations. So I think the next one coming up is with SendMark, the email security. So like I do joint vendor webinars. I was on Connectwise Field Day, right? So like this is where we take 2 different technologies and we talk about how hardening relates to a different aspect or a different security layer, right? So what am I doing to prep, to the original question? A ton of webinars. I am doing as many in-person speaking to opportunities as well. So the next one coming up, CornCon, Davenport, Iowa, CornCon. Is that not the coolest name ever? Oh my God. I told someone else about this and like, have you heard of Colonel Con in Nebraska? I love this industry. How creative is that?
I'm thinking about the swag.
Anyway, so I'm speaking at that. Shad, you got something?
I'm just thinking about what the swag looks like.
What was that?
The swag for CornCon?
Is it corn with a K and are we looking metal?
Dude.
Like, oh my God, like Children of the CornCon, like all the different things you can go with, like Malachi rules, vote for Malachi. Like I would do all those things.
Oh my God, I can't wait. I wish I had the time. I wish I would have prepped up and made specialized stickers or something. Like, I don't know what I could do, but I'd figure out something. The hardest kernel driver, I don't know. Anyway, so that's really what I'm doing. I'm just practicing my speaking, working with Sean, Bobby, and my other champions. Jason Ferguson, absolutely need to shout him out. Him and Matt Topper have also been really heavily involved in assisting and just guiding that presentation format. So realistically, a lot of communication, a lot of presentations, and
And
we'll see what happens on stage.
All right. Bobby, any words of wisdom as his coach before we break today?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, the people you're working with are great. I got to work with Matt a lot when he was at Iconic, and I was at Lion Guard, so he's a great guy to have involved. Obviously, he's like Connectwise now. Yeah, I mean, I think just being really succinct, making people feel a pain is like one of the biggest things that we've learned. Like, no one cares about the problems you solve and the solutions if they don't feel the pain themselves and know why it should be there. So
and feel a connection, right? That's a big
and
part
feel a
of it
connection.
too.
Yeah, so I think like Zach, that's something that is really challenging for you guys is you have 3,000 things you can change in 3 hours of content. Like, how do you describe that quickly into 1 or 2 or 3 things? We've got a lot of work to do there. Like, you guys provide a lot, but what is the like simple message around it? I don't know. I mean, you got into the finals because you have a good message around it, but I think we have a lot more to learn there, which is exciting.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to having you as a coach and getting Sean's testimonial on you, man. Looking forward to getting to know you even better.
I told him, Bobby, I was like, Bobby won't waste his time with you. You gotta be on point. You gotta look good. Like, Bobby wants bragging rights, man. Don't make any mistake about it. If you lose, Bobby will feel bad, like he didn't achieve something. He needs you to win so he can talk smack and say, I did it again.
That's right. I think we've got 3 winners in a row in our legacy, so it's on you, Zach.
All right, I'm ready for it.
That in the worst way, Bobby. Sorry, bud.
you do too. Oh my God, it's like a 3-peat already. You have Jameson, to Cam, to Bobby. My goodness, Zach.
The legacy, like, let it begin. I'll be a coach next year, right? Is that possible?
Let's see what happens with you. Not if you're a senior.
All right.
All right, Sean, you got any closing words of wisdom on your end?
Listen, it's simple, man. Follow the value add we already talked about. We're about the pain points. For the MSPs that are and vendors that are watching this stuff, pay attention, invest in the community the way that you all are doing it. MSPs, you always want to look for the best products to talk to. Talk to these guys. I mean, you guys are all the best of the best that came out of the whole startup world right now. And if you don't do it now, if they come to you later, you'll be much bigger and more expensive and be unwilling to bend the rules for them. So, I mean, that's the fact of life. Once you go down your path of what you guys deliver, that's what you deliver. So why not be part of helping to innovate? Yeah, I can't stress it enough. And don't forget to be around for the finals on November 6th at 3 p.m. Eastern in Orlando.
Let's fill the room.
Absolutely.
That's a huge point you closed out with too. Like Sean, the whole evangelize and get in early with those startups, like that is how good technology, especially if it's an early stage vendor like myself, who really only works with MSPs, right? If you don't invest into the stage of our company today, we won't be able to stick around, right? So yes, there's obviously, you may not be an early adopter, you may not be an innovator on that bell curve, but at the end of the day, if you find a technology you like and the only reason you're not using it is because they haven't been around for 10 years or they don't have enough revenue to make you comfortable, like they're never going to get there without your support. So break barriers, go to these competitions, learn about the industry, and work with the ones who want to be here. And we want to be here.
All right, guys. Well, that's well said. Zach, best of luck to you. Take it in the spirit this is meant as a fellow coach. I hope you do second best. But
wow.
Anyhow, no,
Last interview I do.
I tease, man. No, seriously, best to you. Getting here is one battle. But once you get here, there's a lot of good that comes out of it as well. And kudos to you to making it this far. Sean and Bobby, always great to see you guys. Sean, I'll see you again. We've got two more of the finalists joining us before we're done with this round.
Yeah, and, hey, Brian, before we log off, wanted to say thanks for all the good work you do putting this podcast on and all the work that goes into it to give us this platform. If you haven't checked out VCIO Toolbox and you're listening to this podcast, you're crazy. Go check it out.
Thanks, Bobby. I appreciate the kind words, man.
Man, Bobby's become the best at totally giving out all the props, man. He literally is. I'm so proud of you, son.
He's working the room. Good stuff. Oh, man, for me, it's a labor of love, man. I love this part of it because this allows me to talk to all of you and get to meet new people. Today, I got to meet Zach, and I look forward to having more conversations with him.
Trust smart partners, man. Looking forward to what we do together.
That's it. So again, listeners, you can get this podcast anywhere you download your podcast, or you can watch it up on YouTube. Hit the bell and subscribe. Guys, thank you so much. Zach, seriously, best of luck to you. I
Dude,
tease,
really
I want to see
appreciate it.
you great. And we will see you again next week.
Wow.